Hello. I have a
Hey.
confession.
Oh my God, tell me everything.
So, I am doing a bunch of manual labor outside right
Mm-hmm.
now. I have all of this like hardscaping. And if you don't know what hardscaping is, probably because you've never owned a house. It's like brick and crap that you have to, move
Mm.
around. It's called hardscaping. I only know this because we
Oh,
had landscapers and like, oh, what do you want me to put your hardscaping? Sounds so dirty though, doesn't it?
words. I know. Is it with
Right?
your box?
It's with my box. So I have
You shellac
literally
your box.
I have all this hardscaping that I'm moving around right now because I'm trying to like reorganize where it's going because we did all this landscaping to the house. So I'm reorganizing all this hardscaping at like 7 o'clock in the morning. And this morning, this guy walks by and he like looks at me and then he walks the other direction and he looks at me again. And then
Mm-hmm.
he comes up and he's like, "Do you need any help with your hardscape?" And he says it just like that. And I was like, "No, I think I have it." And he's just like, now, mind you, I'm laying down like these tiles, which I'm doing a really bad job because this is not what I do for a living, right? And he's like, because it seems like you're laying them wrong. I'm just like, I mean, I'm just trying to like use them up in over here. And he's like, and he like takes the shovel out of my hands. He's like, because you kind of got to dig deeper into the soil. And he says it like that to me. And I'm like,
Does he like keep unbroken eye contact while he says this?
dig deeper into the soil. But he's like, you have to dig deeper into the soil. And then he was looking down, but then he like looks up at me. He's like, you know what I mean? And I was like, no.
You're like,
And
sir,
he's
I'm
like,
not. I'm
oh.
not
And
clear
then he
what's
walked
happening right
away.
now.
But I was like, no. And he was like, oh. And then he walked away.
Okay, this is like a misconnection. Like, what is going on?
But I swear to God, hand to God, when he left, I was like, I think a dude was flirting with me over hardscaping. at
Oh
like
my God.
7:30 in the morning. Like,
Hey, it's never, ever too late for flirting and hardscaping.
and then afterwards, you know how like after you've had like a moment like that, you're like, did I do it wrong? Maybe I
Right.
should have flirted back more. I don't know. I was like in dirty clothes and I was like sweaty and I was moving like tile. Like it was not a thing that I thought was a sexy, attractive time thing. So yeah, it was a very strange
Oh my
moment.
God.
And
That was
I
classic. I'm so glad we have it like saved here forever.
but I've thought about it all day long as like I'm like maybe it just all in my head like a weird like he was just like I was here to get a job, but I don't think so.
Oh,
And now I'm never gonna look at the hardscape tile again and not think of that moment.
oh my God. What a freaking
All
moment.
right,
That sounds
so
amazing.
I know, I know. And listeners, if you all have moments like this, because I mean, I have a few in my life. I have like a hot dog in the stick moment like that. I've had a few. I had a chick try to pick me up with a hot dog on a stick once, which was probably
Oh,
the
oh,
most
oh, wow.
interesting, like
Oh, wow.
flirtatious kind of time.
Situation.
Yeah, it was like later I like walked away and I was like, I think that girl was trying to pick me up, and my friend was like, oh no, she was trying to pick you up, and I was like, I thought so, and she's like, she said wiener like 15 times. I was like, yeah, it was the wiener that really.
Hardscape and wiener. So I
She
guess
was like, do
just
you like
follow the
wieners?
clues.
She's like, do you like
Follow the
wieners? And I was like, I
clues.
don't really like wieners. She goes, no, me neither.
Follow the clues, Sybil.
All right. So on that lovely note, let's get started. Hi, I'm Sybil Solon. I'm an esthetician and spa owner.
And hi, I'm Alex Ellis. I'm a body nerd and wellness expert, and we are business besties.
And bosses, running your own business, it's hard.
But we're terrible employees, so we're figuring it out.
But I've already figured it all out. We
Clearly.
promise to share everything that we know about what it takes to make six figures and beyond.
And be brutally honest about what works and what totally sucks.
I'll be honest, a bunch of it totally sucks, but let's get started.
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm forever changed from that story.
I know. I was having trouble even doing the intro because I just am like wieners and digging hardscape. Seriously.
Hardscape. Thank you for that. So welcome back to Skinfessional. On today's show, we are talking about beating the 3-year itch. when you start to wonder if this is really what you want to be doing for the rest of your life.
Mm. And how to deal with burnout, because I think we've all
Burnout.
gotten it before. And if you haven't been doing this long enough, you will.
Yeah. Yeah. When you mentioned this 3-year itch idea, at first I was like, wait, what? But I think as entrepreneurs, we love like the new, right? You get that
Mm-hmm.
dopamine hit. You like, at least for me, like the high of like figuring stuff out and problem solving and doing all of that. But when you finally get to a place where you can build your business and you are scaling, it's typically because you have landed upon, a set of products or a certain way of doing things, so you can just optimize and like get better at what you're doing. It gets boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? And so that thought literally of like, is this what I want to keep doing? Even if it's like another year or 2 years or 3 years, like I have 100% had that thought. And I'm like approaching year 3 of my membership and the other things that go along with it. So perfect.
Well, I think there's a couple things that happen. So I think that yes, absolutely. You kind of get into this like I got this. Like I know how to do this, and you kind of get like,
Mhm.
okay, I went from constantly being scared all the time that I don't know how to make money and it's not working to like, I can kind of go on cruise control and it's just working and I know how to make this work. And so maybe you want to like shake it up and try to break it a little bit, but then also you're a little afraid about breaking it, and so I don't know if I want to do that. But also you could have a thing where maybe you're working in a job where you're not really enjoying what you're doing as much anymore. Maybe you're just really bored by what the kind of niche that you decided on, or you want a little more excitement and pizzazz because you see the same clients over and over again and you want to kind of
Mhm.
do something a little different, or you've decided that you saw something else that maybe made your heart pitter patter a little deeper.
Mhm.
Maybe you didn't niche to the degree that you wanted to because you just kind of like started working in fear, and you're like, well, these were the clients that came in, and so those are the clients I worked on, but they're not the clients of
Mhm.
my heart and my soul. And I think
Mhm.
that's also
Mhm.
happened before.
Mhm.
And then sometimes you have a job where you're like, I realize that I actually physically hurt when I get home every day, and so this is a hard job for
Mhm.
me. Or
Mhm.
you're doing a job where your hours aren't working for you, or something like that. Something's not aligning with you, and so
Mhm.
you have to kind of reevaluate.
Mhm.
All
Yeah.
of those
And
things can happen that 3-year itch time.
yeah. Also, right, we are into year 2 of a global crisis and
Yes.
pandemic. Literally my like news feeder just suggested like, why is everyone losing their hair? And I was like, because we are all freaking stressed, okay?
I am
Um,
losing my hair, by the way. Yes.
yeah. So it also is we are in a stressful time, I mean, all of us had our business affected in some way for the good or the bad. Maybe you had kids home at school. Maybe you were just home by yourself all the time. Like the last 2 years have been freaking hard. And
Mhm.
also, there's no normal that we're going back to. Okay. Just throw that out
Nope.
there.
This
No.
is the
So
normal right now. That's we're
this is
living it.
it. This is it. So burnout is what happens when you are under stress for a long time,
Mm.
aka chronic stress. And my point being, we are all chronically stressed from the last 2 years, in addition to all of the other stuff that goes on in your business. So if you're like, wait, what is burnout? Like, let's talk about that a little bit as well. So I know you already touched upon like, here's some things that may be going on in your business, but what if you're like, man, I really just don't want to work today? And it's not
Yeah.
just today, and it's not just a season, it's something that's like kind of ongoing and you can't really shake it.
Yeah.
Maybe you're tired all the damn time, but you also can't sleep, right?
Mhm.
Maybe you're having difficulty focusing or just like forgetting, like you're just not all the way there cognitively. Maybe even physical symptoms, right? So even like your back pain from work, is it actually mechanical because of the way you're bending over? Or is your body just like, we can't do this anymore and we are going to let you know in any way that we can?
Mhm.
Maybe this is just like such a depressing list too.
Right, right. And for estheticians, sometimes it's upper back pain, lower back pain, it's hand and wrist pain, fatigue,
Mhm,
numbness
mhm,
in the arms, all those things.
mhm. Yeah. So physical symptoms of any sort. Maybe you are sick all the time,
Mhm.
right? Maybe you are not hungry anymore, right? Loss of appetite. You're just like so stressed out and like always working. And of course, anxiety, which apparently I can't even say today, depression. And also, this one I thought to be kind of interesting was anger. Right. If
This
you
is
find yourself like
yeah.
with less tolerance for your clients' bullshit and you're like yelling at people at work, that's really a good sign that you probably are exhausted and
Yeah.
it's
And
time to think about it.
I'll be the first person to tell people that this is what happens to me when I am working too much, I snap at people. So
Mm-hmm.
I know that when I'm fatigued and upset too much, that I go all angry. I get aggro on my clients, and so I know that I'm working too many hours. I'm working too many
Mm-hmm.
hours. I just
Mm-hmm.
literally snapped at a client, and I have to go back out and be like, I'm very sorry. I'm being unreasonable and irrational.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
You're like, listen, there's a lot of shit going on. But I think that when it comes to like again, like we're not just robots, we are whole people with emotions and feelings and lives and all this shit going on. Um, And it's just like we're talking about this so that you can be aware of it. And then once you like, oh, I recognize this is happening, then I can make a different choice. Right. This is
right.
not to say like you're doing it wrong and you totally fucked up. If you are burned out or you're not burned out, like, no, it's not that at all. It's just that we have to take care of ourselves because as small business owners, like you are the IT person, the HR department, the inventory, the shipping department, the like mental health department, like you're all of the
You're all
departments.
the hats. Just stick them on your head. You're doing them all. And
Yeah.
estheticians are, in fact, all beauty professionals. We have a lifespan of about 3 years. So when you first start, you're like, "Yay, I'm doing this job," and then 90% of our industry drops out within 3 years. I'm going to
Wow.
repeat that statistics. 90% of our industry drops out within the first 3 years. Some people don't even make it to that 3 year mark. Now, if you make it past 3 years, you're probably doing about better, and you're going to go longer. But we just do. We tend not to make it as long. So, you know, raise and proud, guys, if you've been out there longer. And if you're sitting here listening, you're like, oh my, I'm not at that 3 year marker. I'm just there. Know that if somebody hasn't talked to you yet about this burnout, it's a thing. And a lot of times estheticians leave because nobody's talked to you yet. That
Mm-hmm.
this is real. This happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to talk about it. You're not alone.
Mm-hmm. 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 I know for me personally, like 2021, I think was harder than the pandemic because the pandemic was like not happening to me personally, so to
Yeah.
speak. And in 2021, dealt with, surgeries and illness within my family. And so I definitely felt not even just burned out, just like fuck everything.
Yeah.
Right. And so many times during this year. And I feel better now because I gave myself the space to not have to do everything.
Yeah.
Whether it was time sensitive stuff or maybe like you've been working on every Sunday for 5 years straight and you don't want to anymore. I'm here to say like then don't. Then don't.
Right.
Maybe take a
And
Sunday off a month, like whatever.
exactly. And this is the hard part. And I know if you're listening and you're like, I can't do that. I've been there. I've been with you. Alex has been with you. We've
Mhm.
both run a business where we were very conscientious of money, where
Mhm.
we felt the lack, where we felt the poorness. Okay, we've
Mhm.
both been there. I'm actually building a business right now where I'm penny pinching and squeezing and all those things. But taking that time sometimes, that day, the hour, the extra time that you need in the long run will save you and your business, because being able to do
Mhm.
your business long term is better than being like, I need to make the 500 extra dollars today.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will be able to make that money somewhere else, sell more product, raise your prices a little bit, find another way. There is another way, I promise.
Mm-hmm. I also just want to put in a pitch for, we'll put this in the show description as well, openpath.com, which is an online directory. You pay a one-time fee. It's like $39 to get access to their database of therapists who do sliding scale.
Mm-hmm.
So mental health and like having somebody to talk to that isn't your family, that isn't your partner,
Mm-hmm.
that is literally just there for you to like unload all of this stuff onto is so super important. And a lot of therapists say, oh, I do sliding scale, but like Open Path was the only way that I could afford to do therapy. And I didn't even know about it until somebody recommended it to me. So openpath.com. I will also say that with all the shit that was going on in my life and starting therapy, like you can look at the numbers. It made a difference.
Yeah.
And so if you are feeling like you're struggling, if you're feeling like you're just like, fuck everything, that's like, to me, burnout is like, fuck
Like
everything.
everything.
If you are feeling that way, like get help. There are resources out there. You know, even if Open Path isn't an option, I'm sure you can find some other community resources to get some help so that you don't feel like you have to bear the burden of all of this on yourself.
Yeah. Burnout can also be numbness. So I know
Mm-hmm.
for some people, it's not even a fuck everything. It is just a numbness. So if you wake up and you're just like, oh, meh, meh, I mean, whatever. I can't even get enough energy to fuck it. Like that was too
Mm-hmm. Fair.
exciting. The fuck everything was too exciting. It's just like, that can
Mm-hmm.
be burnout. And it can look like depression for some people, but it's often just burnout. Because if you think about it, if you're like, if I could just do nothing for 7 days, 10 days, a month, I might feel myself again.
Mm-hmm.
Those are usually symptoms of burnout.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get yourself back again. And there is help for that. Absolutely, talking to somebody absolutely helps. And talking to somebody who, I always say, therapists are great because they have no skin in the game.
I know. Yeah.
That's why I like therapists. They literally have no skin in the game. You can tell them anything. Be like, yeah, I wanted to murder my best friend. I hated them. And they're just like, okay.
I do think they have a duty to report at some
You
point
said
if
I
you
wanted to, not I did. I wanted to. And
seriously.
they're like, okay.
No,
You're
it's
like,
so true. Yeah.
you're like, I kicked my cat. And they're like, oh, I mean, okay. But they like, in their mind, they're like, they might say whatever they want, but they're like, okay, so why? Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about that?
Yeah. Did you want to work on that today? Those feelings? I mean, that's what they do. That's their job. Their job is to help you work through what's making you angry, upset, sad, dramatic, whatever. They have and then when you're done, they're like, "Sweet, the next person. I've forgotten about you." That's their
That's not my
job. No skin in
problem.
the game.
Not my problem. No, it's so, it's just, as somebody who, like, I have never done therapy until this year. And every week I'm just like, God damn it, why didn't I start this like forever ago? So I think, there's no time like the present. It just, life is too short. And anyone who has experienced loss of any sort in any way, like, I know
Mhm.
you understand this to be true. Life is too short to spend it doing shit that you don't want to do and to not be living your life. And of course,
Mhm.
like, money matters, and like not having the money to do stuff like affects that as well. But you can't work 24/7. Like my cousin, for example, he is working this, he's young, just out of college, working a super awesome job, lives at home, so like doesn't have to pay rent and all that stuff. And is on a work trip to England, going to all these cool places. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And I was like, oh, you could always go back, because he was like, oh, I didn't get to do this other thing or whatever. I was like, oh, but then the company's not paying for it, and I'd have to take time off. And I was just like, oh my God, like, live your life. Even if that just means sitting in your back. I'm like, your back porch. I don't have a back porch, y'all. This would be me sitting in the alley, and I would fucking do that with a book if that felt like something that I needed to do. Okay. Do what it takes, whatever it takes. So, what about like
Absolutely.
outside hobbies? Like, is that something that you find? I'm like, I love having something that's not
Yes.
work to like do.
Yes.
What is it for
Yes,
you?
and outside hobbies, when we talk about outside hobbies, I want to really be clear about this. It's not I sit on Netflix and watch TV. And I love TV.
No.
I love TV. I love watching movies, don't get me wrong. But outside hobbies is something that makes your mind work, makes your
Mm-hmm.
hands work, does
Mm-hmm.
something different, not just like
Mm-hmm.
you zone out.
Yeah. That's totally
right?
like numbing watching
Yeah.
TV for
So
me
it's a
personally.
hobby that keeps you active in some way. And it could be your body's active, your mind is active, something that has you doing something else that is not your job, that is something different. So you can be like, I have a hobby, I read. Awesome. You're still
Yep.
doing something with your mind.
Yep.
I have a
And
hobby,
not
I move
business books.
hardscaping.
Yeah.
I'm doing something with my body.
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in, especially when I have burnout, and this is something that I do when I know that when I realize, and sometimes you don't realize you're in the middle of burnout until somebody's like, hey, you having burnout right now?
Mm-hmm.
Are you feeling burned out? And
Mm-hmm.
this can happen. You don't realize you're in it until somebody tells you you're in the middle of it. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, I do things that push my comfort level because I need to be shook. I need to be shook up. I need somebody to be like, hey, what's happening? You got the burnout. So I do something that's really outside my comfort level. I pick up something that's uncomfortable and different, and I make myself do it. And it might not be the one thing, I do a bunch of things. So if you've
Mm-hmm.
ever followed me on IG, you know that I had a year of doing things that were really uncomfortable. And that was a year that I was burning out. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't talk about that I was burning out, but I was burning out hard that year. And so I was like, I'm going to do a year of uncomfortable things. And that was
Yeah.
something I did.
And even too, I was actually just thinking, so I got into this phase as well of like working too many hours, right? This year, just like, well, I need to work and like there's not enough time, there's not enough time. And the way I made myself uncomfortable was this is gonna sound so ridiculous, but this is confessional, so we just share it.
Yes, right.
Taking a longer walk with my dog
Yes.
because movement is something that's super important to me. Exercise is something that like my brain and body need to function the way I want to. And I would go to walk her and just be like, well, I don't have time. And I mean, she did her stuff. It was fine. But like, okay, so I walked 30 minutes in the morning and I didn't get to my computer till like noon. So what?
Mm-hmm.
So what? And it was super uncomfortable. And still every day I'm out there, like even this morning, I was like, should we? And I was like, we should. We should.
Yep.
Let's go. So just think about it. Like it doesn't have to be like this grand, huge gesture. It doesn't have to be, I mean, it should be a longer commitment of some sort, but like there's other ways to like get out of the rut that you're in and do something different, even if it's just like putting contact paper on all your doors in your house. I did that
Right.
too. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It just changes up the gray matter and the chemistry in your brain because
Yeah.
so much of burnout is actually just chemistry in your brain. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
chemistry in your brain that you need to shake it up and change it up a little bit. And for some people that requires movement and doing something different, and for some people it requires them to sit down and think about it and do something different that way. For some people it's a hand tactile thing. Maybe you need to sing, maybe you need to dance. I have a friend, she does, I think it's kikuya or something. It's body
Mm.
dancing movement, and that's what she does.
Mm.
And find your thing that does that for you, that helps you, that sparks you again, that sparks your interest and your mind and your heart, that isn't your job, and that will magically make your job better. It's weird,
That's
but
so
it will.
that's so true. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. I
It
mean,
will.
also again, we are like fully formed human beings. And if you're doing like the same thing all the time, like even racehorses get burnt out because all they do is like race them into the ground, you know? So
Yeah.
like don't be a racehorse. Think for longevity, and longevity is going to require you to be feeding your creativity in ways that are not your job.
Yes. And if you have to do a few different things, do a few different things. If you do one thing, you're like, this isn't it. Leave it. Do something else. Don't be
Yeah.
like when my mom, when I was growing up, and she was like, so you decided to take the piano, and 3 lessons in, you weren't into the piano. I'm going to force you to do the piano. No, just drop it. Drop it. Drop it like a hot potato. Go do something else. You're an adult. You're a grown ass adult. You do whatever you want.
You can put the shitty book down. You don't
Yeah.
have to
Don't
finish it.
read. Guess what? Read books for 60 pages. If you don't like it, drop it. F it. Get
Yeah,
out.
I made it all the way to the second book of the series before I gave up on a terrible book. It was so
No,
bad.
drop it. There's so many good books on this earth. So many good books. Don't read it. Get rid of it. You don't
Yes.
need it.
Yes.
Don't be in
Yes.
the book club that is forcing you to read the bad book. Out. Get out.
No. Another, I touched upon this, but I just want to make sure I hit upon it again. If
Mhm.
you feel like you are working too much, I said, if you're working every Sunday, it's not working. Like,
Yes.
our last episode too, we're talking about planning for the new year. This is a perfect time. Plan for the new year. Are you like, ooh, I hate working Sundays, but I can't afford to not work every Sunday? Okay. So what does one Sunday off a month look like? What does taking the morning off on a Sunday, or, I just, whatever that day is for you,
Right.
like there's ways to make it work. And maybe it's baby steps until you get to that point where you aren't working Sundays anymore, but raise your prices, offer a new service, do something to facilitate you having the schedule and business that you want. Don't do it just because you feel like you have to be doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can find the way. And if you need help doing any of these things, that's why there are business consultants like us to help you out. Come make an appointment. Yep. We're here for these things. This is what we do. We literally help people do it. Find the ways. We're magical and can help you with all those things. One of the other things I want to make sure I touch on about like kind of like recognizing burnout and making sure that you kind of like find the way to do it is, I know once again, people get really hung up in the idea of like the money of it. And I think that what kind of makes us feel trapped in burnout is that, and it is trapped. You feel, I think you get burned out because you feel trapped in it. Like I can't do anything else and I'm stuck in this, right?
Yep.
You're not stuck. You are the master of your life. You can do whatever you want. That is the beauty of owning your own business. You can change anything you want in your business. You just have to find the way. And if you feel like you're trapped and you can't get out of what you're doing, you just need to ask for help, because sometimes somebody else has a different perspective. And because when you're stuck inside of it, when you're stuck deep in that burnout, you don't have that vision. You don't have the perspective. And it literally is a chemistry thing. You don't have the perspective. You're in like this fight or flight mode. So you can't see anything. You only see with tunnel vision in front of you.
Yeah. And then you'll have your own thoughts to tell you that it's all garbage.
And sometimes you have somebody else who comes in and is like, have you thought about doing this? And you're like, whoa. No, not even a little bit did I think about that. That's crazy talk. And you might be like really hesitant at first, but like, I don't think so. I mean, that sounds crazy. I don't know. But then it kind of worms its way and you're like, well, maybe I could. What if I did? I mean, it can't be worse than the crap I'm living right now.
What if? That's a great question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Anything else on burnout you want to make sure we hit on?
I think that's an awesome burnout conversation, everyone.
We actually have a question for you, which is, I was lamenting to Sybil about the perils of shipping. I hate freaking shipping. Are you guys shipping packages and products to people? And if so, do you want us to talk about it? Because between the two of us, I think we have like 70 years of shipping experience.
Yes.
So let us know. Also, let us know about your burnout strategies. So you can send us a DM on Instagram, tag us in your stories, whatever. We are at Skinfessional. I would say the show. That is the show. Sybil is at Skin Fitness Expert. I am at Hala for Mala. Or you can email us. Okay, Sybil, the email.
Yes, guys. I'm listening.
Email is skinfessionalpod@gmail.com. It's Skinfessional, like this show. POD.
Yes.
@gmail.com. And then also you can give us a call on the phone. Call me, beat me.
On the phone, old school. The phone number is 818-473-5277. All right, everyone. Until next week.
Keep your secrets to yourself.
Unless you're telling us.
Okay, bye.